Classic League Podcast time!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 319 of the Classic Elite Podcast. It's a very special episode tonight. My name is Scott, and joining me is Kevin. Kevin, what's going on, man?
Hello, not much. How are you?
And the co-founder of the podcast, Tony, is back to celebrate the 10-year anniversary. How you doing, man?
Oh my God. What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on. This is a nice surprise to my day.
Yeah,
fun.
Tony, 10 years ago yesterday, we sat in your office with the recorder. What did we do with the first episode? Oh, yes, I got to get the Sam Adams. That's right. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, buddy.
So Tony and I drank.
Kevin, get your organic beer in here.
His Canadian
Cheers.
organic beer. We're very American today, I suppose. North American. The
10 years ago.
The beer that Tony and I drank when we got together the first time to do a podcast was Sam Adams. So we're celebrating with that tonight, which is a lot of fun. And Kevin, you've been listening for about as long as we've been doing it. So it's really cool to have everybody here. I don't know. We're gonna have this is a normal video game podcast, but I think we're gonna just kind of talk about, I don't know, the last 10 years, some of the fun stuff we've done over the last bit, and just kind of have a little powwow. And there's a couple of things in news we'll get to, and then kind of what we've been playing. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just sort of weird, Tony. It's been 10 years. What was the first device? Was it the little mic that you plugged into your iPhone? Is that what, or was it an iPod? Did you even have iPhones then?
iPod. No, I was actually telling Kevin about that before the show. Like, we had, I just remember on Amazon or eBay getting a 2-pack of pill microphones. They looked like little pills.
Yes.
And you pop the cover off, and it had a headphone jack, a 3.5, and then you would plug it into what at that time was the iPod Touch. And I remember you bringing out a 6-pack of Sam Adams, and we sat in 2 chairs, like huddled around my desk, like with our looking down at the mic, trying to get the best audio quality that we could. I think ultimately the iPod microphone recorded better than the pill microphone, but that's how it started, which is crazy. It was just us wanting to, talk about video games. So we've met some great people along the way.
Some other fun production adventures. At some point, you were the pastor of a church, and we used a microphone from there for a couple times, and you're like, "Oh, this is working great." And then you took it to church, and someone nicked it. Like, we used it for like 1 or 2 episodes, really? And then you took it, and someone stole it from church.
Man, it's like a $300 microphone. It was one of those. It was like a Zoom H2 or something like that back in the day. And it just got ripped off, and I was like, "What the heck?" So it was that was nice for a while.
We also had we were trying to buy different kinds of foam and put them in cardboard boxes to try to isolate sound because we were so echoey. And then eventually, I forget if it was one of our first guests that we realized that our sound quality was better through Skype.
Yep.
And so Tony and I would sit in a closet in the same room as him, recording through Skype, just because it
That's right.
Compressed our audio in a much better way.
It sounded better. Yeah. Crazy.
So when did you guys? I guess I could be the weird like a debate class. There's one guy. What are they called? Help me out here. Someone.
Moderator.
Yes, thank you. I could be that guy because I'm literally in the middle from what I see here. So you guys started the Classic Elite. Okay, first off, the name. Scott's has been over it saying that the Classic Elite name is because one you classic, one you modern, which is the lead part of it. Who knew the classic? Was it you or
you? Me.
You're the classic.
Yeah.
And Tony, you were the modern. Are you still modern?
I mean, I grew up playing all those same games. Like, so we both had a background in that. I think at the time I was always like, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, but I always wanted whatever was new and shiny.
Yeah, definitely. Whether it was gadgets or games or whatever.
Sure. And Scott was still with like, he enjoyed retro games a lot more than I did at the time. So I just felt like it was a great mix of those two worlds coming together.
And have you got a PS4, Switch, Xbox One since then?
Oh yeah, I've got Switch, PS4, Xbox One X.
Oh, nice. Okay.
All those. It's funny. I'm kind of hitting a stage in my life where I'm trying not to buy whatever shiny and new because the reality of getting to play it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think that my PS4 has sat dusty since God of War. I played through God of War, like the new God of War. And then before that, it was Last of Us. And before that, it was Uncharted. So I think I only fire that thing up when I'm playing some exclusive single player experience. And I use Xbox mainly for multiplayer.
Okay, so that's good. So you weren't like frozen, like as soon as the podcast ended, you weren't like, I'm going to stick with my Xbox 360 and my PS3. You still kept up with gaming.
Yeah, it's whatever the experiment. Or I think as I've gotten older, I've enjoyed stories a lot more. So I do have a group of people I play with for multiplayer experiences, but I usually stick with one game at a time. Like right now we're playing PUBG. Like if I'm on doing multiplayer, it's PUBG. If I'm on doing single player, it's The Witcher. I'm playing through The Witcher right now, which I'll talk about in a little bit.
But that was actually how we met, was like, where Tony and I worked, I walked past his cubicle and he had Wii games sitting on it. I'm like, oh, you play games? Mm-hmm. So it's, to me, it's like, of course he still played games. You know what I mean?
And you guys both, you worked together and decided to make a podcast together. And Tony, we were talking before the show where podcast wasn't a thing. Like, because I was in the same world. I did a podcast at the same time you guys started, but I stopped because, life. So what made you decide to do a podcast rather than, because I know eventually you guys got into videos and all that, but why a podcast that's been on for 10 years?
Because I wanted to because I listened to a couple podcasts. I found... I don't exactly remember how or what the first one I ever listened to was, but it was somewhere in between RetroWare TV. They had a little podcast section, which that's how I found about Critical Failure, Tiger Claw TV, and then the Retro League with Hugh Johnson and all of that. So I was actively listening to them, and back then I would have to go to their website and download an MP3 onto my phone and listen that way. And there weren't, if it stopped, I had to guess how far I had to buffer back into the MP3 and all that. So because of that, our IDE tags or whatever are awesome, by the way. So you're welcome for any of you out there that have to deal with our tags, because it would drive me nuts. It was so hard to find certain episodes sometimes. But I remember real vividly sitting in my car listening to... Hemrock from the Retro League get an email from Critical Failure about tips to make a podcast good, and I thought, I can do that. And so was thinking about maybe trying a solo mic show, and didn't quite have the guts to do it, and mentioned something to Tony, and he's like, dude, we should totally do a podcast. I'm like, oh, you do it? Oh, well, all right, let's go. All right. I don't know, like a week or so later, wandered over to his house with some beer, and here we are. But it was because I was listening to some others and just heard the perspective of Alex to say, like, dude, you just, like, have some, just some general outlines of what you want to talk about, and talk about what you want to talk about, and be friendly with people and all that kind of stuff. And it was really good advice. It ended up being a really fun hobby.
And what were people's first impressions? Have you did you let your family and friends listen to it first? Because when I did that, I need listeners. So I told, hey, check this out. What do you think? And people told me at the years before podcasts, there's too much talking in a podcast. So that's obviously before what a podcast. No one knew what a podcast was, right? So
yeah, because the closest that I would tell people is it was like talk radio and like AM, which does not like sound cool as it is, and then to have it video games. So I actually I didn't tell people about it. This was like very private to me. It was only people on the internet. I did it for years before I told some people that I even did it, that I was real close friends with. It was just like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a reason why when we did ours, it was I was under the name Max, because if the whole thing failed, I could restart and no one knew who I was.
Oh, that's funny.
So,
I remember that's when when we first started. I don't remember what it was. Maybe like Slammers or something. I had a name I was going to introduce myself as, and Tony starts the episode and he's like, "This is Tony and Scott." And I'm like, I guess I'm going with my fucking name. All right. Like I totally could have like stopped, and said, "Hey, I'd rather not use my name," but I just kind of ran with it. And I'm like, "All right, we're just Tony and Scott, and I guess we're going."
Yeah, we dropped it because it was hard. I don't call Rui Rooster. He doesn't call me Max. We call each other Kevin Rui. So it was always hard to be like me and Rooster.
Yeah.
And he's like me and Kim. I mean Matt. I mean Kim. I mean yeah. So we just said forget it.
It was definitely wise for us to do that because I mean if we knew each other by online handles and nicknames, it would have been fine. Yeah. Like to me, Gooch and Douchebag are still those guys, and Vogue Nasty is still Vogue Nasty, and Critical Failure, all in Kaiser. I still call him Kaiser. That kind of stuff. Triverse, Tecmo Balls. It doesn't matter. Those guys are it. But I know Tony, and I've known Tony way before he was Big Steamy or whatever. So I wasn't about to be like, "Yo, Big Steamy, how was the weekend?"
Silver Nips.
That was his old Xbox name was Big Steamy. It's awesome.
Now, so you guys started the podcast and you guys went up to Tony. You left to what 60 something?
Oh, I don't know, somewhere between 50 and 60. I think I had moved around 45, like a couple hours away, so it just became increasingly harder to create time to record. And
I think you remember in the 70s. I think you did.
Oh, did I?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't search the archive today. I was trying to figure out when that was, but it was. I remember we did like a big 50. Like we had Cliffy B's wife as a special guest for episode 50. I think.
Lauren. They're still married. They're still married. We're still. We're still listed on her bio as like appearances.
Oh, really?
Not that she's ever proud of that or anything like that. To show you how little that she like. Is up to date on that. It's pretty funny.
I still remember that interview at the beginning. She's like, "Oh yeah, I've totally heard of you guys." I'm going, "No, you haven't." But
thank you. That's very flattering.
Yeah, like I still to this day have no idea how we landed that interview. I think
because you were an email ninja, man. You just had this magic touch. I don't know what it was. I'd send out emails. I get nothing. Tony'd send them out, and it would just be like. Rose farts back to us says, "What do you want? We'll send you devices and games." I'm like, "What is going on?" That was fun.
So then, when you guys were doing a podcast, you guys also played around with the video part of it, which I was always jealous of because we did articles, not videos. I was like, no one watches videos. That's too much bandwidth. Because and I remember Scott, you specifically with your Plants vs Zombies DS video, sitting in the closet recording that.
Yep.
And Tony, did you have the Hapag or Hapage? Who reviewed that?
Well, we wrote Hapag and got the HD PVR, which was really, I mean, it was fairly early on. It was right around when I moved. I think we finally secured that because it was like $250 back then. I think
it was a very first edition too that didn't even have, or the first external edition that didn't even have HDMI. It was all component input.
Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking, like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, we got. I'll never forget the very first free thing we got from an email that I sent out was Castlevania.
Lords of Shadow.
Lords of Shadow on Xbox 360. And Scott reviewed that, I think.
Yep.
And then we got Plants vs. Zombies on DS, which became our biggest. I think it's our biggest review of all time.
It is now. You also had Order and Chaos that was really big, and that actually might be the biggest one now. I don't know.
I don't remember, but it was cool to see like being able to record. I mean, Scott put so much work in his Plants vs. Zombies review is, I hope you don't mind me saying, it's really good for what we had, like, because that was on the original DS, I think.
It was.
And you had to record the screen, which back then most of our videos were, like, I was doing iPad reviews when, I mean, I had friends that were like, this is never going to catch on. Like, this is a joke. I mean, no, like mobile video games, like, it's never going to be a thing. And I remember I would sit there with my iPad 1 and have a video camera set up in front of it, and I'd black out the room because there was no video out. You couldn't capture the video anyway. And
Tony's 8'3", so when you'd see this giant shadow finger, it would look like he was playing a phone game, but it was an iPad.
Yeah, and those videos got lots of, the only thing I would ever change about this is I do wish that it's always been about fun, but I wish back then, like, I knew what we knew now.
Yeah.
About, it took us such a long ramp up period because we both had full-time jobs. Like, neither of us, and I had little kids at the time, and so it was like, but I mean, we very easily could have went right into that period of YouTube where people made a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, we were starting there for a while. Several $100 a month was coming in instead of half that a year. But
yeah,
it was definitely really exciting. And yeah, we could have, knowing what we know now, we did start at a time where had we went for it, we probably could have made a living out of doing it. But
because look how big podcasts are now.
Well,
right?
Exactly, but there was no way to know that, and like the numbers were growing, but it wasn't like you necessarily believed them. Like, what were the numbers or whatever? It felt like you would get more emails to correlate to that. I don't know. It just didn't. It never felt like we were on the cusp of like being able to actually like pursue it, but we. Looking back, we were a little closer than maybe it looked like.
Like if Patreon existed 10 years ago, we would achieve our goals because we had nothing but time and money at the time.
We might have. I might have been willing to give Patreon a try back then. The thing now, it's just so hard to deliver, and I couldn't imagine the pressure I would feel, even if it was like $10 a month.
That's what I'm saying. Back then, if we had a goal every month, we'll interview a guest. If you hit the $20 limit, we would make our effort to get that guest. Doesn't matter what time of day. Now I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
You're only available on Tuesday at 4 p.m. at 3 a.m. my time. Forget it.
Yeah, I would love to do get back into guests and stuff. Tony, that was some of my most fun stuff was the guests that you would find and that you would get. It was just something else,
it was fun. Like it was cool because it felt like it also was the first time feeling connected. And I even think like some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life are the cons that Scott and I went to. People like you, Kevin, and people that like Josh and DB and those guys. Like we've met them in person, Dustin, like all those people, and like they're just great people, and it's fun. I think it's fun for people our age just to meet other people that like connected through the show or whatever it was, and you built some sort of a relationship, and they're just great people to be connected to. And I keep thinking like, that's just been a fun like side effect of the show is meeting some really awesome people. And then on like the interviews, I didn't we interview the guy who made Bastion?
Yeah, Greg Kasavan.
That's crazy. Like Bastion and Super Meat Boy guys.
That was crazy. We had one of the
you guys are in Indie Game the movie. I'm gonna keep throwing that out there. Yeah. It's so cool.
Yeah, we're in the credits of Indie Game the movie, which is certainly probably one of the neater highlights of doing this. I don't know, like some musicians like Paul Taylor from Mode 7 Games is still out there. Richie Branson's still out there doing a bunch of stuff. Still see Disaster Piece went on to, he does scores for movies and stuff now. Yeah, just crazy. And people were so gracious. They were like, yeah, I'll come and join. That sounds fun. Like, really? There was one time, one of the first review codes Tony got for iPad was a Angry Birds ripoff called Trucks and Skulls. And the guy that made that game, Tony and I were not familiar with him. But we just wanted to talk to a game developer, and he was gracious enough to come on. Paul O'Connor's his name, and he it was super fun. And as he's talking about his background that Tony and I had no idea about, our jaws are just dropping. Like, wait, you worked on that? You worked on that? Like, holy crap! What are we doing talking to this guy? Like, it was so fun, and then just kind of kept snowballing from there. Tony just kept getting more like. We would have had Kojima on if we wouldn't have had you fall off by now.
Yeah.
Just because, I don't know.
And a little secret. Whenever you guys had an interview, I had to get an interview. Every time I heard you guys had a special guest or someone, and I'm like, oh, son of a bitch, I gotta one up you guys. And that's honestly what happened. So you guys would get someone from like Super Meat Boy, and I would get like a voice actor for like Back to the Future or something like that.
Yeah, I still see AJ Lacasio all over the place. Like he's still doing a lot of stuff.
Now. He's huge now. I still have him on Instagram, and I'm like, I knew you before you were big. Like, and when you're saying you're interviewing a game developer and you had no idea how big he was or his background, I had the same. There was a game called Insane Shadow Twisted Planet. That's the game. And I was interviewing the guy on the podcast, not knowing. I thought it was an indie game, and it is. But the guy used to work on Midway, and he's talking in the interview about how he used to work on Mortal Kombat, the original arcade. And I'm like,
right? It was like, oh my
sweat stains. I was like, I had no idea.
Yeah, he.
The interviews were fun. Like even listening to it, I remember hearing I remember the Super Meat Boy, Edmund. I remember that interview you guys had. I was sitting in my university campus, University of Toronto, sitting in like wherever all the students sit, listening to you guys, and you guys were talking about the game. I remember this for whatever reason. I remember you guys saying that the game is going to be, if you order it, like a pre-order, you get like 20% discount or something like that. And I was there feverishly like clicking on my phone trying to get this game to get a discount on it because of the interview you guys had. And I remember exactly the time and place I was at, which is funny.
I remember when Tony showed, he's like, oh, you got to see this. We were sitting at his kitchen table. He's like, oh, you got to see this game called Super Meat Boy that's coming out next week. It looks like something that you would love. And then he's like, you want me to see if they want to do an interview? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Not thinking the thing of it. And then it came out 3 days after the game came out. So it was we caught them 24 hours before they got famous. Yeah. Like their entire world changed the day after they talked to us. Yeah. Like we got so lucky to catch them right there. We were joking about like hot soccer moms at one point. I don't remember if that was on the show. Like if that was in the episode or not, or if it was just Tommy like goofing around. It was just like it was surreal.
I do remember one funny thing that I don't remember what the context was, but he was talking about creative games, and he's like he's like Minecraft's creative, and I'm thinking, what the heck is Minecraft?
Yeah, right.
Like I had no idea what Minecraft was, and it blew up to be this massive, but it's funny. It's always that feeling of like we were doing something we loved that was fun, but it gave us a chance to be connected to people that we never thought, we'd be connected to, and just hear stories, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, because I mean we're in Ohio, so we're not in cities that are known for game development or whatever, or just tech in general. So, you don't run across people that make that kind of stuff. And I guess I like games or movies so much, or like I guess I would imagine a game director having a air about themselves the way that you run into successful musicians, how they might have an air about them. And we didn't hit that at all a single time with anybody that we had talked to. And I guess, I don't know why I expected it, that they would maybe have a bit more hubris, but everyone was really gracious, and it was fun. You just get all nervous before talking to somebody. And
well, yeah, it's one thing you said at the beginning, Scott, just not to belabor and go on with stories, but you said it's about being nice to people too at the beginning, like that you connect with. You had listened to that How to Do Podcasting show or whatever, and I think looking back now, it seems crazy because I'm a little bit out of it now, but like that spurred some crazy experiences for me personally with jobs. Like, I mean, the Hapog thing started it, and we got the second HD PVR, I think, and I was emailing the president of a Pong.
Yeah.
And he wrote me and he said, "Hey, I'm thinking about starting this gaming zone thing. Should I do this?" And I just wrote him back a quick note and said, "Actually, I would hire someone to moderate, like to take that off your plate to whatever." And he wrote me back within like 5 minutes. It's like, "Would you do it?" And that turned into like a contract job for me that I had for like 4 years.
Yeah.
And
wow.
then they flew me out to like YouTube headquarters one time to do a conference out there. And then another video series, I don't even remember half of the names of some of these, like, because it's been so long, but another, like, I got connected with like this third party cheap electronics manufacturer, and they flew me out to E3, which was like on my bucket list at the time. And like to go, like, you know, I'm sitting at this Korean barbecue in Los Angeles going, how the heck did I get here?
Yeah, right.
You know, and it was just, I mean, it was all side stuff too, like my regular job and my, you know, all that stuff, but it just spurred some like crazy opportunities for stuff that was just cool. And it was, a lot of it was just from networking, just being nice and writing people and following up. And I used to tell Scott, like, we're going to get way ahead with this just because we're professional. Like, we use good grammar in our emails and stuff. So
to be polite and not have typos and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. This is just it's been a super fun hobby. I never would have imagined that we've gotten 10 years into it. So certainly, I'm proud that we're able to get this far into it. And hopefully we can keep it going. It's certainly a lot of fun, and I'm very grateful that we have some people that have actually listened to all the episodes. So
I can say I've listened to every single episode, even the episodes I'm on now.
That's
weird.
But
I used to do that before.
But yeah, like Brad, I know he says he's listened to a lot of them, or everyone. So it's neat. There was one time where we got an email from somebody that they went on a fishing trip for a weekend and listened to all 60 episodes and emailed us on like the 63rd. Like, I'm all caught up. I just binged over a weekend. I was like, wow, like someone was sitting on water. But I've had those experiences. Like, I have listened to podcasts that like really, they'll remind me of whatever, like how you just talked about us and your experience being in college. It's very flattering and cool to be that for somebody, so.
And I've told you, I've fallen asleep listening to you guys, and I've had dreams about you guys. So it's like,
that's the ultimate. If you can fall asleep listening to someone's podcast, they are doing a great job. Like, if you're a regular listener, that's a great compliment. It means that you can soothe them to sleep. So,
well,
anyways.
it's because like I remember, like, I was my wife, but she was my girlfriend at the time. I was sleeping at her house. I used to sleep over her house on the weekends, and when her roommates were outside in the living room, and I didn't have an iPhone or anything, and she'd fall asleep. So I don't really watch TV, so I'd lie in bed and just listen to podcasts. And you guys were that podcast, so I'd fall asleep listening.
Yeah, no, I'm okay, cool. I was just checking to make sure that we are live. I hate.
So I did find an email I sent you guys in 2012.
Oh yeah, let me get a refill
May
for
30,
this.
May 31st, 2012. The subject is fan mail.
So it's like 2 years. I was like 2 years in, so we were pros at this point.
This is the earliest email I have. I know I've sent it more before. Loves the last episode with one more castle. Great job and good to hear, everyone. Eric and Andrew have such a great idea. So I guess it's when they were starting their One More Castle podcast.
Okay, yeah.
Or I go on to write, it was driving me nuts hearing about Sonic talk and me not being able to say anything. I'm a huge Sonic fan, right? I'm a huge Sonic fan, always was and always will be. I have bought the Sonic collection on many forms. Sonic Mega Collection on DS, Genesis Collection 360.
Do you just write this? Do you just copy and paste that email?
On Virtual Console, Sonic Collection on PS2, and iPhone, and of course the Genesis. They're all the same game that I can't help but buy. My question of the week, has there been a game that you bought multiple times just because you loved it so much, or even because a character was on it that you had to have? Example, any Mario games. Anyways, love hearing you guys. Keep it up. Your brother in arms, Kevin. So
That's awesome.
obviously, I am a one-trick pony.
Yeah,
who have
you're a
nothing
consistent man. You know what
else.
you
It's
like.
still my Sonic games that I can't help. Wow, I got nothing going on.
Tony, speaking of Sonic, did you see the new Sonic movie? Your kids?
We watched it 2 weeks ago.
I thought it
bought
was excellent.
on digital. I thought it was really good too. It was so good to see Jim Carrey back. I miss Jim Carrey.
Yeah, especially that Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
It's so good to see Sonic back. I respect him again.
It's also a good point. So, well, good deal, man. I guess should we get into the normal podcast stuff?
Yeah, I just want to say, hey guys, 10 years, that's a huge number. Scott, I don't know how you've been doing this for 10 years.
We had a couple of breaks. If you add it up, it's not, because we had at least we might have had 2 6-month breaks. So, you know.
All right, Tony, get off. Forget it. We'll do this again next year.
Yeah, we'll
it's
see.
it's actually huge props to Scott because he's kept it going all this time. Like he's been the staple, and it's I come and go as a listener just because of life, but he's really kept it going and done an amazing job.
That's fun. Yeah, it certainly feels like we were kind of talking about it before we started recording, like the different eras or whatever that I've been a part of, like how you watch a show for a long time, you said, and the actors change around them or whatever. So it doesn't necessarily feel like it's been the same show for that amount of time. It certainly feels like there were 4 different shows almost in a way.
Well, I mean, you guys didn't have a video cast at the beginning. I remember seeing you guys switch to video, and again, I don't remember when that happened. I never watched YouTube.
In the early 100s, we started. We were doing video without actually broadcasting video for a while.
Oh, okay.
Because
I still don't know how to.
Help to this stuff, in theory.
But yeah, I remember you guys switching there, and I was like, "Oh, son of a bitch! I can never one up that." Like,
that was James Midnight. Was a YouTube listener and said it'd be awesome if you guys would do it on YouTube. So I started putting the MP3s up on YouTube, and then that was as much effort. That was like, we might as well just go on camera. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, I guess as far as were there any new releases that you wanted to get to?
The only one that stood out besides Streets of Rage 4, which we spoke about last week, was the Wonderful 101 Remastered finally did come out and getting what's this place called? Metacritic score of 70, which is what I expected for that kind of game, because I didn't like that game when it came out on the Wii U. I was indifferent for it. But it's out now, so people are happy for whatever. Cause I guess people are happy because it's not stuck to the Wii U. That's the big problem with these Wii U games. Because most of the time you need that second screen, like Zombie U was stuck on the Wii U, but now it's available on other consoles. But other than that, there was no other game that came out.
Probably that way for a bit. I guess there was one quick thing I wanted to mention in the news. I doubt you guys had a chance to look at this, but the Gaming Historian put out a new video of a Zelda clone called the Crusader of Centy. Have you guys ever heard of this? It's a Sega Genesis game.
No.
All I'll say is it looks like a great Link to the Past clone for Genesis. So just look at the new
Genesis game.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, it's a new Genesis game?
No, it's an old Genesis game.
Okay.
But it's very rare, so it's irritatingly expensive kind of a thing. So just go get the ROM. Don't even try to mess with getting the cart. But the Gaming Historian video, of course, was awesome. It's just what he does. But I'd never heard of it. Crusader of Centy?
No, never heard of it.
You ever heard of that, Tony?
No. I'm looking up screenshots right now.
But I mean, it's like the sword motions, like it's a straight ripoff. But there's some really cool stuff to it, and it's not. They put more effort into it. I wanted to draw attention to that video just because it looked so sweet. So, but there was one big thing in news, Kevin. So what jumped out this week?
Oh yeah, the big news that came out. It's been pretty slow on news. But the one game that they announced yesterday. It was so cool that my buddy texted me this news as well is that Tony Hawk Pro Skater
Is that
1
an
and
Easter egg
2.
in it? They put Sonic in the game? That's
Yeah.
sweet.
What?
The Sonic is a Easter egg in that Crusader of Centy game.
Oh, really? Oh, sorry, my
Yeah.
chat was closed.
According to your
that's awesome.
email, that means you have to buy it twice,
Oh,
Kevin.
Yeah. Well, Sonic's in it. I have to.
Go ahead. I interrupted you. Sorry.
Oh, I know that's fine. Yeah. So they released the news that there's going to be Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remastered, which will be coming out soon. So 1 and 2, it sounds like a bundle. And the cool thing is, it has the same soundtrack from what I saw.
Yeah, and it looked, the trailer kept flipping back and forth between in-game, like original graphics and new graphics. I don't know if it was the trailer or if they really did a one-to-one, so you would be able to do your favorite thing, Kevin. But regardless of whether or not you can do that, it is neat that it looks like they are really looking at really recreating the game. People love those games.
But they did this though, right? On the 360 and the PS3, they released the HD remaster.
Did you see the trailer?
I didn't watch the trailer. No,
Okay,
I just saw it.
you will. They did not do this.
Okay. Because
Gotcha.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater came out in the perfect time for me because I was a skater and I was really into like CKY and Jackass and stuff. And I remember learning how to do skateboard moves by playing the game. So I see the way they do a kick flip and all that. And then if you beat the game, you get like a little video of a skater. And that's where I discovered Rodney Mullen, which is my favorite skater.
Okay.
And then I'd look him up on YouTube, which took forever to load. But I'd see that's how I learned how to do tricks. It's because of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Awesome.
And they're bringing back I don't know that. It looked like maybe all the original skaters are going to be
From what I
available.
saw. Yeah.
So,
I played a lot of those games. I was not a skater, but I played a ton of those games back in the day.
And that's the thing. It hit everybody hard. Like I'm not a huge sports game person by any means, but this is the game that everyone just played. It was like the Wii console of the generation. Like everyone I knew had Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. And I felt like this game opened the door for music genres that you would otherwise not listen to.
Sure.
Because you had Bad Religion in there, you had Exhibit in there, you had like, you know what I mean? It was a good combination.
Man 5000. That's the only thing everyone's seeing from the show. I did not have Tony Hawk, and I never got into it. But
you didn't? Okay.
No. But that was one of those games where when I was over at a friend's house, especially my friend Jared on the PS2, whatever was on PS2, I was like, so you want to play some Tony Hawk? I didn't have it, but I wanted to play it when I was around it, kind of a thing. Like, yeah, you ever at a friend's house and they have a really sweet toy, and you're like, but I love you, dude, but seriously, like, fuck off, I really want to play with your BB gun or whatever they have, and you don't want to be a jerk and bring it up, so you just have to sit there patiently waiting, like, please bring it up.
You want to be like, I'm only here for this.
Yeah, right. I kind of had like Tony Hawk gave me a little bit of that vibe. Like there were times where I was like, dude, like, remember how much fun that was? You want to play some Tony Hawk?
Oh man,
play Monopoly. How about Tony Hawk?
One of my favorite. I never saw a lot of weird glitches in video games other than your NES freaking out on you. Like falling through geometry and stuff like that, I just wasn't
greatest.
And somehow my buddy's girlfriend was like doing this trick, and she fell through the geometry, and she just kept like spinning down into the abyss, and the points just kept like, it was like so fun to see.
We did that with Spider-Man. He was a character in the game, like a hidden secret character, and we were grinding, but he like fell on his like balls, and then he flipped upside down. I guess it's a reaction, but he's stuck upside down, and the points kept counting, and he just kept sliding on his head on the rail. It was like one of those weird like levels, a special levels. It's just a big circle with a bunch of half pipes, so it was non-stop going in a circle of him on his head, and we remember that to this day. We would look at each other and do this to signal that remember that's you on your head.
Tony, which were the Tony Hawks you played? Was it like 64?
Played 1 and 2 on original PlayStation, I believe. Yeah. Is that right? And then I 2 was the one we played a ton. It was just a great game. The music, it was like a shot. It was kind of like reminds me of that experience when NBA Jam first came out on the Genesis. It was like a shock value of fun. I don't know how to explain that. And so, like, yeah, what you're describing, Scott, it was the perfect game to stick in for couch co-op. It was also the perfect game to play on your own and try to, unlock everything or collect. What did you collect? Tapes, I think. I remember.
I don't remember.
What was the?
I remember
tapes sound right.
letters.
Tapes is hilarious.
Yeah, or wings or something. It was a ton, and then finding the secret rooms and.
That's right.
I always felt like there was something like, holy crap, I can, grind on the power line. Okay, I'm in. Let's try to do that again. Stuff like that was just fun. It was just one of those. It's like an embedded memory of being really fun back then. So.
And you could create your own skater as well. That was a big part of it. That's when Scott, I told you that's how I learned you guys call it a toque a beanie.
Oh, okay,
they called it a beanie in Tony Hawk's. I'm like, what the hell's a beanie? That's a toque.
It's novel now, but at the time, the balancing mechanic using the bumpers was amazing. Like, that was just so cool to consider that in a video game. Actual balance. That was the first time I remember, balance feeling like that. And it felt like it was my fault when I screwed it up. Oh, I let that go too far. I don't know. It felt good.
And this was Activision, right?
Yeah,
I know it was Neversoft who created it.
I definitely was an Activision game. I don't know. Was it the whole run? I don't know.
I don't remember because Activision did what Activision does, and they pounded like Guitar Hero. Yeah. They're like, here's Tony Hawk 1, 2, 3, 4, awesome, and then Underground, and then they did a whole Bam Margera thing, which is where I dropped off on. But they also did Matt Hoffman's BMX. They also did they tried this like extreme scootering, and you know what I mean. They tried so much, and because Bam Margera and Jackass were big at the time, that's where I dropped off on Tony Hawk Underground 2. Because then instead of skateboards, there was like shopping cart.
Oh wait,
tricks.
hold on, Kevin, hold on. Sorry, we are talking about the news.
News, that's right. There's music playing right now. So
I forgot to hit the button, Tony.
I didn't even know there was a button, so I'm not upset.
And the funny thing is, that's all for news.
I know, but so we're gonna roll into it. I know. I just was looking at it, I'm like, oh no.
I do have a something to pitch to you, Kevin. I heard last week's episode that you have like 5 copies of Final Fantasy VII, so I was gonna offer you $40 for one.
They're all at Walmart.
No, they're all at Walmart.
Because I found out if you refuse to pick up the item, because they won't refund it back to me. I waited in line for 15 minutes to do the Corona, so I had to wait outside, and I got inside. I'm like, hey, there's a package here for me, and I want to refund it. And they said, no, you got to wait for your second package to come in to refund. I'm like, but it says both are in stock. And they're like, no. So I'm like, fine, I'm just going to ignore you until you send it back to the warehouse. I'm going to get my credit back. So
You're having a hard time buying stuff lately.
Yeah, I suck.
Like Uber Eats isn't, according to Twitter, isn't treating you.
Oh, Uber Eats could eat a bag of farts.
Sorry, I brought that up just to needle you.
And whoever Dylan is can go fuck himself, that bastard. He canceled my delivery. Why? I had to go pick up the food myself, and the food was cold, and they double charged me. So upset. So Dylan, wherever you are, eat a bag of farts.
So okay, that's it for news. Kevin, did you have a couple of quick deals that you wanted to cover real quick?
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. Is there like a ka-ching noise?
There will be if I like it. If I agree with you, there will be a deal sound. If I don't agree, you'll find out that I didn't agree when you listen to the show.
Cool. That's not
mean or
a
dickhead thing to do. Eventually, I'm working on letting you hear the sound.
Okay, that's cool.
It's like a banana something plug in. There's some software that I'm going to run that's going to let you hear it as well.
Sounds good. For Nintendo, here are the sales that I found that were somewhat catchy. Pixel Art Bundle Volume 1 for Nintendo Switch. It is normally, I don't know what price it normally is, but it's $569. It's 85% off. It comes with 3 games, and those 3 games are not loading for me right now. It's Uncanny Valley, Slain, and something else.
Okay.
I don't know if any of you have it. It's an indie bundle. So I love indie bundles, and I heard that Uncanny Valley is really terrifying, is what the word said. So I don't know. Check it out if you want it. It's what are the 3 games?
I don't know if you.
Slaying Back from Hell, Uncanny Valley, and Bleed. So I heard great things about those 3 games, specifically Uncanny Valley.
Yeah,
Wow,
I've heard
that's a
Uncanny
mouthful.
Valley is great.
Yeah. The other sale that
It's
I
an
found
older
was
game.
Johnny
I feel like that's
Turbo.
been around for a while. I'm sorry.
Which one?
Uncanny Valley. I think that's like old.
Oh, is it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
It's very pixely looking. The other thing was Johnny Turbo's arcade games. Now, Johnny Turbo is a weird little mascot that I read about. He was the mascot for Turbo Graphics, I want to say.
Okay.
Did Turbo Graphics do CDs?
Yes.
Okay, so he must have been the mascot for they wanted him to be like the Sonic for Turbo Graphics, and in comics and stuff, he was in there making fun of Sonic Sega CD because they were better. So that's who Johnny Turbo is, in case you're wondering
Okay.
what that means. Anywho, so there's a bunch of arcade games that are on sale. So instead of $7.99, it is $2 in America, at least. These are all American prices because America rules the world. I'm Canadian, so it's like $2 for me, or $3.
Come on down. Despite what the news says, we'll let you in.
Healthcare. So the some of the highlights in the Johnny Turbo's arcade games are Joe and Mac Returns are $1.99. Those are those caveman games. Bad Dudes. Are you a bad enough dude to save the president? That game is $1.99. And there's a game which I've never heard of, but I bought it because it looked amazing, which is Night Slashers. It's like a beat 'em up zombie game.
Okay.
I don't know. I was like, this looks rad, so I bought it. And there's a bunch of other games on there if you want to check out. Sly Spy, Gate of Doom, Burger Time. Everyone knows Burger Time.
Burger Time's awesome.
But the highlights for me are Joe and Mac and Bad Dudes and that night slasher game.
Right.
So all those arcade games are $2. These are arcade ports, not home console one. The other game is Gone Home. It's 50% off. It's $7.49. It's the same guys who made that Everybody's Gone to the Rapture game that I was talking about last week.
Did they do Edith
It's the
Finch
same
as
guys.
well? Sorry.
Yes. No,
Okay.
wait. Yes, I was getting that mixed up with Dear Esther. Yes, they did that, and they also made Firewatch. So it's the same game where you
Didn't
walk.
they just get bought last year?
Did they?
By somebody like Sony or somebody. I think they got bought.
Tony, have you ever played any of those walking games?
No.
None of those Everyone Gone or anything like that?
Mm-mm.
The thing with these games is that I played Gone Home, and it is a walking game. You literally walk and tell a story together. Some of these games can even complete in 10 minutes. There's achievements and trophies for it. Especially Gone Home, there's an achievement to beat the game in 2 minutes. But you can only do that after you beat the game, where you find out, secret doors and shit. It's good. It's a good story. I recommend it. It's a movie that you can interact with. So you can spend $7 on a movie, or you can spend $7 on a game and get trophies. Whatever. Leave me alone. But not for us, Twitch. There's no trophies. So PlayStation's having a sale as well. It's called the extended sale. So here's some highlights that I found there. Batman Arkham Collection is $17.99. So that comes with Batman Arkham Asylum and City, and the DLCs for City, which is a great price. And it's one of those games I repurchased. Ever play those games? Batman games? It was the best superhero.
I played all 4 of the Arkham games.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. I've played bits and pieces of them, but never finished one.
Oh, it's great. And it comes with all the DLCs. So you have like the Batman animated series costume in Arkham City, which is the best costume because then Catwoman.
And like the extra missions as well. There's like Catwoman DLC and stuff. There's more than cosmetics.
Lego Harry Potter collection is $5.99. This is the Lego games before Lego games were good. So it was like a weird top angle thing instead of the Lego games you have now where now it's all open world and they think they ruined it by adding voice acting. But this was like a weird isometric view.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the Lego games that it's before Lego blew up, but still 2 games for $5.99.
That's not
Mortal Kombat. All right then. Mortal Kombat XL is $5.99, which is Mortal Kombat X with all the crap that came with X for $5.99, which is bullshit because I bought Mortal Kombat X and the goddamn logo says XL and it's not the XL version. So they lied to me. I thought I had all the DLC. They just took the default X logo and made
whatever matrix you're living in is really like you're paying penance for some sort of bad purchasing. Like,
Yeah.
you like scammed a whole bunch of people in your previous life on like purchasing stuff.
No,
Like,
I have no patience to do research. I'm like, ooh, sale, buy. And then I'm like, it's not at all what I thought it was. That's why it's on sale.
Your delivery guy's playing all your games and you're eating cold food. So
Everything sucks. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard Gold Edition. So this is the Resident Evil 7 game. All the banned footage nonsense. $20, 60% off. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition is $14.99, 70% off. That comes with every DLC. And you're going to put in the game with all the DLC and be like, I don't want to do any of this.
Okay, I was shaking my head, but with the DLC, that's tempting.
With everything, which is like
I
the
do
DLC
want to try that Blood and Wine. So, okay. Well, is that
That's for PlayStation. And they have another sale called Games Under 15 sale.
okay?
You can get Life is Strange episode 2, 3, 4, 5 for $1 each. So $5 for 5 or 4 if you do the math. Life is Strange is a great story and a fantastic game. I recommend it. Do backward stuff, and it's kind of like Butterfly Effect. It is Butterfly Effect. They ripped off that movie. Limbo and Inside Bundle is $8.99. That's 70% off. Both those games are great, and they may tie together. They don't. I'm just doing this for dramatic effect.
Okay.
Or do they? No, I have no idea. Stay away from Reddit. They'll make you think outside the box and be like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, stay in the box. Don't think for yourself. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Stay Canadian.
Lone Survivor, the director's cut is $4.99, which is a Silent Hill-esque pixelated version game.
Okay.
It's awesome, and he also wears a Corona mask.
Got limes
Ahead
on
of
it.
the time. Yes, cute. Mass Effect Andromeda Standard Recruit Edition. Don't know what that is.
If
It's
it's not
$11.99.
free, that's not a deal. That game sucks.
Oh, really? Does
Yep.
it suck? I don't know. I
Yeah,
Mass Effect
Andromeda
was
is like-
one-love.
Yeah.
Well, okay, don't buy the game. See if I can.
I'm gonna
Zombie-
download. I'm gonna download the if you failed as well. The no.
Oh, that's hurtful. And then the game Zombie, which was Zombie U for the Wii U, which is no longer on the Wii U, which is now on the PS4, called just Zombie, which is a stupid name because you need the letter U to differentiate it from any other zombie game, but you can't because it's not on the Wii U, so it's just called Zombie. Is $3.99.
All right.
So that's all the PlayStation games. And hey there, let's sit back down. There's some Xbox sales. Not a lot. There's some. Need for Speed, the original price was $19.99, is now currently $4.99, 75% off. That's Need for Speed.
Okay.
And then there's the other Need for Speed game called Need for Speed Rivals, which is also the same price. But here's my mistake. I bought Rivals. Here's Need for Speed, and here's Rivals. And I'm like, well, Rivals sounds so much cooler. And newer.
Did you
So
need?
I bought Rivals.
Is that just an expansion?
No, it's an online game.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I'm like, wow, I made my car. Why are there other people in this world? I want to just play the game. I mean, you can, but as soon as I found out it was online, I was so turned off, and I was like, don't look at me. So I grabbed the digital disc and turned it the other way, and I said, get out of here, you. And then I turned the other way, and then deleted it. But if you like online Need for Speed, it's $5. And 360 games that are on sale. Crazy Taxi for $249.
It's a good deal.
Pretty fucking cool. And I didn't even know the Xbox 360 had this game, so I bought it again because
That's what you do.
big old dummy because I have it on the PS3. Daytona USA on 360.
Daytona.
See, now you're gonna buy it. $2.50. Oh my god, right? I didn't even know it was on 360.
I originally had that game on Sega Saturn, by the way.
As did I. But then it re-released on PS3 like 7 years ago, and I had a review copy, and I was so happy, and I was like, wow, this game isn't as good as I remember, but I want Sega to like me, so I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. That's not true.
All right, hey, okay, look, we're not. That's why we don't do reviews. We had to bring Kevin on board, and he's clearly compromised.
Biased as hell.
Well, everyone's
Daytona.
biased. Everyone's biased.
Yeah, true.
Just acknowledge
Daytona
it.
USA also makes our list for games that do not need an HD remake.
Daytona?
Yes.
Have you ever played as the horse?
Yes.
Now imagine that horse in HD.
Roach. From
I was going to say, get Roach out there, man. Yeah. It's a Witcher.
Okay, we're going to have
reference.
this HD remake conversation again. HD just means it's sharper, not detailed. Okay? That's what I wanted Final Fantasy VII to be. I wanted Final Fantasy VII to just be an HD remastered. Same game, remastered. I love that game. It's great. I'll talk about it next week because I have a lot to say.
Okay.
And those are all the deals that will fit your pocket. I need an out slogan. That made no sense.
That didn't.
Scratch that. Edit that out. Tony, fix
But
that.
we're
Back to
done.
live action.
We're done. So we got a little bonus there. All right. Well, now it's time to talk about what games we've been playing. So Tony, you've been
Last 10 years. Go.
hanging out. Yeah.
We've
Been playing
feel
recently,
like Cousin
man.
Eddie. Got me and the wife put together a little list, Clark, that you can. Yeah. So sorry. A lot of times I have
Hey,
moments.
you're
from
allowed
movies-
to make National Lampoon's references.
I
Yeah.
thought that was National Lampoon, but I didn't
It
want
was.
to sound like an idiot.
It's Griswold, baby.
But I've got one of those memories that I remember specific lines from movies, and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I love this line," and people around me are like, "What are you talking about? Like that's not." I'm like, it was really funny to me, so I remembered it. So, anyways, so what have I been playing? So I think the thing I've been playing the most of, multiplayer wise, as I mentioned already, I've got a group of friends. We actually, it started randomly with a buddy that I went to college with that we gamed a lot together. I bought him an Xbox One when he didn't have one, and it spurred him to like. He works on college campuses, and so it spurred him to like network all the people he had met at these different college campuses together, and so they're all our age, and so we call it like the middle-aged noobs group. And we play multiplayer games together. So with those guys, I play PUBG right now, and it's been fun. I hate that game solo, but it's super fun to play with 4 people, and so we've been enjoying that. And then single player,
Sorry, PUBG. You know where I played that game and I didn't like it?
where?
On the iPhone. They had a free.
Oh yeah.
They had a mobile version. I downloaded it. It worked. It played well, but I got
Yeah.
killed right away, and I was like, nah,
I have
Yeah.
a 50% win rate, like chicken dinner win rate on PUBG Mobile.
Yeah.
Because I
That's
played,
half,
and
not
I might even have 100%. I think it's 50%. I played one game with our buddy Matt, and
Yeah.
one I uninstalled, got out,
Yeah.
went out
And
on
it's
top, we won a
crossplay too,
duel,
right?
and I was,
It's crossplay, so you can be playing on mobile and PC and Xbox.
Oh,
and all those guys, right?
that's
No,
cool. It
the
was
mo-
not
the mobile
when,
version.
when we played
It's
it.
not.
Yeah, when we played it was all mobile.
Oh, so I'm a liar. Okay, never mind.
The mobile version is for you can play iPhone and Android together, but
Okay.
the console version is a different beast, and you can do crossplay like Xbox, PS4, PC.
Yeah.
But not like those don't mix with mobile. So-
Okay.
But
Big old liar.
yeah, those guys rotate games sometimes faster than I can. Like they'll go through phases of being like Destiny, and I just can't keep up the race of like keeping your light level up and all that stuff. But it's fun to like PUBG. You can hop in, hop out, and when you're playing with other people, it's fun. So
Destiny 2 single player is pretty fun though. I really enjoyed it. I think you would as a Halo fan.
yeah, amazing universe. Like Destiny's an amazing game. I just can't keep up with any game that requires like grinding, multiplayer grinding.
Yeah.
Just because you literally have to be on every night, and
Yeah.
then if you're not on, you can't do raids and all that stuff. So, anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. Do you want me to talk about the
Yeah.
main game I've been playing? Okay, so I'm a sucker for. There's something special about the time that we. Kevin, how old are you? I don't know how old you are.
32 or 33.
Okay, so a little bit younger. I'll be 40 this year, and I'm a sucker
not to
for
jump
like,
in, but that was another thing because I was in my 20s when this started, and Tony was in his
Mhm.
30s. And I remember thinking like, "Fuck, man, I'm never gonna be in my 30s."
yeah, that's right.
It felt that way.
Yeah, so there's something unique about the time. I mean, all of us experienced that to degree with our current ages. Like, we got to grow up in like the one of the coolest like technological times. And
we grew up when our great grandparents that went through the automobile transition, we got to go through one of those.
Yeah, exactly.
If not more so.
And so for me, I wish, like, I don't regret hardly anything, but I do wish that like I would have known more about computer programming and coding and stuff like that back then, because I probably would have went down that path, because something about electronics from the time I was hooking up a VCR on my own, like the age of 5 to like it just, I was always excited about it, and it was just such a cool thing. I remember watching my brother-in-law play Link's 386 Golf on a custom-built PC, and I thought my head was going to blow off my shoulders, like, this is amazing. Like, like, I didn't have anything like that, and so I think, like, I'm a sucker. I share all that because I'm a sucker for the story and, like, people that grew up during that time. And that's why, like, I get really upset with gamers today who, like, they get mad at game companies, and like, so mad at game companies. Like Bethesda's a great example. I mean, when Skyrim was out and Fallout 3 and 4, people couldn't stop singing the praises of Bethesda. But then Fallout 76, they try something new, doesn't go quite well from the start. Like, people freak out. Like,
well, to be fair, that did seem like it was pretty half baked coming out of the
Oh, sure. And I'm not saying we can't be critics, but like, I've watched hours and hours and hours of videos about Bethesda, and like those, like, I get those guys because I grew up at that time. Like, Todd Howard talks about programming on the Commodore 64, and like, I had a Commodore 64, and like, so I just remember how hard it was to just get a computer to work back then. And like, I think, so I share all that to say, like, I got into watching the Witcher series on Netflix, and the Witcher's been on my radar for a long time, but I always have never like given it the time to say, okay, I'm actually going to sit down and immerse myself in this world. And, something about the Witcher show on Netflix made me go read the first book. So I read the first book, and then I was like, I want to understand more about these games, So I went and started watching NoClip on YouTube. I don't know if you guys know NoClip, but they're a crowdfunded.
It's Danny O'Dwyer from. He's an example of. I bet we could get him on the podcast, as he's the type that would just be like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to be a GameSpot editor. Worked with Greg Kasavin, actually. No. Greg had left then. I was going to say call back to Bastion. But
sure.
I think Greg had left then by then. Anyways.
Yeah, I feel like I'm being really long-winded here, but
no,
no,
not at all.
Yeah, so
it's like story time.
Yeah, there you go. Sit down, grab your pillows. And I think so I started. NoClip did a entire documentary on the Witcher series, and they went to Poland, where CD Projekt Red is located. And I've watched that entire series probably 10 times. It's so good.
Yeah.
And they basically, like, the guy started saying, like, he's our age, he's my age at least, and he started by, there was no copyright laws, and it was like the what is that, the Steel Curtain or whatever was going on in Poland at that time. I forget the exact name of it, but it was like or they had no exposure to like outside culture.
They were everything was like, they were on the east side of the Berlin Wall. They weren't exposed to any Eastern culture. They were stuck in the control of communism.
Yeah, exactly. And so he talks about gaming PCs started to come there, and there would be open air markets where they would copy games, and that's how you got new games. And like he basically got his entire start for that company of writing snail mail, sending 2 cassette tapes to somebody, that person would keep one cassette tape for free and then send the other one back with brand new games, and he became like the man with the latest games. That's back when games were on cassette, like audio cassette tapes.
Yeah.
And so it's like that started their distribution business, and they're the ones that like brought Baldur's Gate to that part of the world.
That's the coolest part. Even though it was the mecca of piracy, they were like, but if we sold a good physical product, even though people could get an illegal version, if we put the effort into a good Polish translation and put good packaging together, it would sell. And sure as shit, it did.
Collector's items and stuff. And so that's why they've always been DRM free with all their stuff, because he's like, if you really make a game people care about, they'll buy it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love this guy.
Yeah, that's how I was.
And so like it's just an incredible story. And I'm thinking like, and I just read the first book and I loved the first book, and I'm going, if I'm going to play these games, I'm going back to the beginning. I'm going to Witcher 1. And then, so they're also the company that created GOG, which I don't know if you're familiar with that, Kevin, or not, but like GOG is a great, yeah. So they did that on the idea of DRM free and making sure that we don't lose great games from history. So you can go on there and buy like Star Wars TIE Fighter and like all these crazy games that shouldn't run on Windows 10. And they have an entire team that finds the original code and the original licensing. And
I bought Virtual Springfield from there that runs.
It
has a virtual machine that boots up. It's great. Everything's done for you. I didn't have to do anything.
Exactly. And so I'm just going like, I want to do whatever I can as a consumer to support these guys, because they're just like speaking my language. And so I bought Witcher 1 and had probably started it 3 times, just dinking around in the past. But now I'm in the universe. I'm like, I'm well into the second book, and it's such an amazing universe too. Like, I didn't know that much about it. It's incredible. Like, it's a dark fantasy, like crazy universe that, the characters, and I'm sitting there playing this PC game from 2008. I'm about ready to hit 30 hours. I'm a little over halfway, and I'm going, I'm in. Like, once you get past the first 2 hours, you have no idea that you're playing a game 2007. The graphics are old and the combat's a little wonky, and some of the funny parts are like, it was their very first game they ever developed, and so some of the character models are just repeated, wearing different colored clothes, and like,
hey, we grew up with that. We got Scorpion and Sub-Zero, so.
Yeah, and you go,
Mario,
like, people are saying these like obscene things, like just these crazy obscene things that but it's funny because and I'm sitting there going like, the music is amazing and the story is really, really good, and I'm sucked in, and I'm going like, yeah, I can deal with all those, it's being their first game, it crashes sometimes, there's technical bugs, but it's really good, and it makes me excited to know that I'm saving Witcher 2 till I beat Witcher 1, and then I know Witcher 3, which is like, but I'm like
played like that one, and
yeah, I remember you did
if I've gotten through a game like that.
Yeah, and I just remember going like, I'm so excited to know that I've got this series that I'm in, and I'll probably take breaks for like Last of Us 2 and different things like that, but I'm excited to know that like I'm in. And I'm just really enjoying it right now. So
I really liked the Netflix series a lot, and it was a lot like what you're describing. I don't know how to exactly articulate it, but they really made watching that series feel like playing the game. It took a while. I did not really care for it at first, but I kind of stuck with it, and eventually by the end was really into it and loved it.
Well, I highly recommend reading now that I've done it, read the first 2 books before watching that, if you haven't watched it yet, because it's going to seem really erratic. And the first 2 books in the series are short stories before it gets into the novel.
Oh, okay.
And so if you read the first 2 books, they're basically recreating each episode as a different short story.
Oh, that's cool.
And so, like, yeah, it makes. So I'm reading the book after I watch the series, going, oh, because there's a lot more color in the books and stuff like that. But they basically are recreating the short stories. So people who are watching, I have talked to a few people who watched it, and they're like, I didn't like it because, today's TV is not standalone. It's always a continued story.
Yeah.
And so like it's different times, different characters, and then they pull characters back, and so you're bouncing around a lot. But if you read the books, you're like, oh, they're just telling the short stories right now.
I didn't realize till towards the end of it. I would watch a lot of it before I realized they were bouncing around, but it kind of made me feel good once I realized they were bouncing around.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it made me feel like a smart or an invested viewer. It almost felt like a reward for figuring it out. So yeah, I doubt that was the intention, but cool. Also, you've been playing around with Nvidia GeForce now.
Yeah. So last two things I've been busy with in gaming is probably I've been playing more PC games since I started The Witcher. Like I've been messing around a little bit more with PC, and I don't want to invest in. I just don't have the room. Like I built a budget gaming PC with my son, and he enjoys that. It's kind of in his room. But like at this point, I'm all about streamlining. So I got a pretty nice laptop that's not meant for gaming. But I was really impressed with GeForce Now. It's $4 a month or something like that, and they're not starting billing, I don't think, till next month. But it enables you to play your games that you already own, and like Uplay and Steam and those things through any PC.
Yeah,
huh?
I was I was talking to Kevin about this to ask him if this may be an avenue for him, because it's perfect for underpowered PCs if you have a Steam library.
Yeah, there's two technologies right now. So I don't count Stadia, because Stadia is its own platform. Like you have to buy, like you want to play PUBG on Stadia, you got to buy PUBG on Stadia. Yeah. I don't want to buy PUBG on Stadia. I want to buy games on Steam, and hopefully GOG is supported eventually. But so there's two companies that are interesting right now. One is called Shadow Tech, which launches in Ohio at least next month, and it is $12 a month for the lowest tier. Goes all the way up to $50, but you basically are buying a server blade, renting a server blade with a high-powered gaming PC components that you stream. The difference with Shadow Tech is that you actually boot into a Windows 10 instance streaming. Oh. So you can actually run Word or Photoshop or any of those on a high-end PC. I think they start at 2080. GTX 2080 is the $12 a month graphics card, 12 gigs of RAM. So like you can play like GOG and stuff on that. I just don't like how much it is. I feel like that's a little for what I will use it for. Yeah. I like GeForce Now because I feel like Nvidia has their bigger names, so they've got more money because they've got a lot of revenue streams. But they also, it's like $4 or $5 a month. The challenge with that they're facing right now, which drives me crazy, this is something I will critique in the gaming industry, is they're not selling games.
No, but publishers are not wanting their name on the service. It's weird.
Publishers are starting to pull games off of that service because they think they should be getting revenue. But I don't understand.
I don't understand their point. It's streaming. It's like that means that remote desktop is. It's just a remote desktop.
Yeah, and but what it sounds like is there was some miscommunication in the transition from beta to live.
Yeah,
and I think those companies wanted some courtesy there, and since Nvidia didn't provide that, like those companies are saying, "Oh, you can't play our games on this," and I'm going, "Are you serious? Like I've already bought your game."
Yeah.
So, but what's happening though is Nvidia is still backing it. They're still. It's surreal to me. I was playing Witcher 2 on my phone, the other day, and I'm going like, I was playing Assassin's Creed just because I was messing around with, like, because there are companies like Epic and Ubisoft that are saying this is the future. We're supporting it 100%.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool because, like, so I was playing like one of the newer Assassin's Creeds on my Kindle Fire HD with the controller plugged in, and it was running in like ultra settings, and I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, so like I think I'm gonna cancel my subscription to ShadowTech. I don't want to pay that much, and then like before it even starts, and just stick with Nvidia, and like, because I can do $4 or $5 a month, and I'm like, it's worth like hoping that it gets better. But I really hope that, like, I feel like that's the right way.
Are you a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber or Game Pass in general?
I was in the past. I turned it off just because, I mean, I'm really sticking with one game at a time right now, and so there's no reason for me to have that right now.
Well, the reason I bring it up is if you did, I was curious what your thoughts on Xcloud are. I've been shocked at how good that's worked. I played all the way through the Tekken single player, and I totally can play Ori, and it's their streaming platform.
Well,
So,
I do, yeah.
I was just wondering if you had tried it. I was impressed. Stadia on browser was horrendous and made me want to punch my screen. But Stadia on my phone worked pretty well, and Xcloud works. I played a lot of Halo single player on Xcloud. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I kind of like the Access too.
Yeah, like I don't want a $2,000 gaming PC sitting in my house right now. Like I just don't. I it's just not worth the investment for me. But they'll probably end up getting that money out of me through streaming services like this because it's worth it. I can use my 5-year-old Dell laptop or whatever that I've kind of rebuilt, and it works fine. But so that xCloud thing, I haven't tried it, but it brings me into my final thing that I'm kind of messing with right now or thinking about more, and that's the smart delivery the Xbox is doing. And I think that I'm not a fanboy one way or the other. I appreciate all technology and consoles, but I watched the Xbox Series X live show last week they did. And I think the games were okay that they were showing. I felt like they were okay. But one of the things they emphasized a lot was this smart delivery. And I think Microsoft with xCloud, Games Pass, compatibility all the way back to original Xbox games, I feel like I really appreciate that. And
yeah, their consumer focus right now is just unbelievable.
And I don't do sports games anymore, but when I used to play Madden every year, I remember specifically 2 or 3 times when there was a console upgrade, and I would buy Madden in July because I wanted to play it. But then the consoles come out in November, and I'm buying Madden again.
Yeah.
Because I wanted the updated graphics,
Yeah.
And I keep thinking like. Basically like Cyberpunk 2077 from CD Projekt's coming out this fall. It's part of this service. I'm like, this is genius because as soon as I buy an Xbox Series X, like I get that version, the best version of that game.
Wait, Cyberpunk's coming to Game Pass? Is that what you said? Or
it's coming to smart delivery, not Games Pass.
Oh, smart delivery. Okay, smart.
Yeah, so it means that like I'm going to buy it and start playing it on Xbox One X. And then it's a massive game. And so when the Series X comes out, which I will be pre-ordering, like I'll immediately be able to download the best version for that console. And I just think, sweet. I'm like, it's cool. It's free. It doesn't cost anything else. And I think that kind of, nothing against Sony, but like the last time I checked PlayStation, you had to pay like $20 a month to get that, like to play older PlayStation games.
PlayStation Now, yeah.
Yeah, and I just keep thinking like, well, what if I own some of those games, or I've owned them and I can't play them without PlayStation Now. And like on Xbox, if I own an original Xbox game, I can still play that on my Xbox One X, and I appreciate like that. Just being able to jump into
that was
those.
my biggest disappointment with the PS4. Sorry, I haven't said anything in a while. I was listening to an old episode.
No, I'm done, by the way. So
no. I'm just saying, it was like listening to an old episode. It was great. That was my problem. That's why I love hate the PS4, because I bought the PS4 thinking, like the ad said, it does everything. And I have a big PS3 library. My PS3 library is PS1 games, PS2 games, PS3 games. And those games can be played on the Vita or the PSP. But then when I bought my PS4, I found out none of those games can be played, nor PS1 physical, PS2 physical, or even the digital downloaded games that I purchased are playable on my PS4.
Not the physical downloaded games.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Everybody says digital download, and it's like, of course it was digital. It's just funny.
I'm just a punching bag. It's all
not
good.
You. They do it on the Bombcast.
I say digital too.
Yeah, they say it on the Bombcast. They say it. It cracks me up.
It's like when someone says ATM machine, you're like,
yes,
machine. Yeah.
Or you won't get this, but Tony, when people say the SEC conference, oh, you mean the Southeastern Conference?
Yeah, that's right.
No, it's just the SEC. So, all right.
Don't bring up that smut on this show.
Hey, we'll be lucky if we get to even complain about college football at this rate. So.
Yeah, no doubt.
Tony's also like me, Kevin. He's obsesses over amateurs.
Love college football.
It's the only sport I still watch.
Crazy.
Go ahead, Kevin. You were talking about PS4 and
you were saying we were awesome, something like that.
Oh yeah, so digital downloads. None of the games transferred over to my PS4, and me being me, I bought the games again. Like they re-released PS2 games on PS4, like HD remastered or whatever you want to call it.
What you want, so.
What I don't want, I want the choice. If I already own the game, Twisted Metal Black, that I bought on PS3, I don't want to have to buy it again.
Okay.
If you give me the option, here's the HD version with trophies for $5. Okay, I'll consider it. But I was forced to buy it.
I meant the fact that was an iteration that you wanted, just the HDified, yeah.
Yeah, I probably would have rebought it, even if it was backwards compatible, but I had no choice. So, anyways, I understand that. That sucks. And I hate that consoles do that. And like even for physical copies, I don't mind that part, because I get it. You need the technology inside the system to do that.
Yeah, see, that's where I'm at. I bet Sony just wishes they could kind of go back a little bit. I bet that if they could snap their fingers and have the backwards compatibility availability that Xbox does, they would.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're doing it because because they don't want to. If it was easy, I think that they would.
Well, even having like the PS Now service, I mean, you can stream it, so there's some kind of.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah,
but even that was a weird implementation. Like they bought Gaikai, and it just hasn't seemed like they. I don't know. Went in as hard with it as maybe you're expecting the way Microsoft has done.
The PS Now was a rental service at first, right? You had to rent a game for like $7 for 3 days, whatever nonsense it was.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a big mistake. Ooh, Sonic the Hedgehog 4, episode 1.
Yeah. For $5.
$5?
Oh, yeah.
Or I can buy it for $5.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's something Microsoft's been building towards, and I think for the first time, like that smart delivery thing, I'm starting to see it all come together, and I'm like, yeah, this is consumer minded. Like I like seeing ideas like that.
You know what's interesting though, and it's a really, I am a pro market capitalist type of a person, so I am also of the mind that if you, I've got a little bit of a hippie approach, that if you have a consumer focus, if you build it, they will come, sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Like that way with podcasts, give it away for free. Like and there's enough room for everybody to have a podcast, kind of a thing. Like rising tide, that sort of an attitude. And I'll be really curious because that's what Microsoft is actually betting on big time. They're betting the house on, if we're consumer friendly, they will come. It'll be really interesting to see if that actually is true, because the other side of the argument is that the first party exclusives are by far better with Sony.
Sure.
So is you know, which one is the bet going to be on? I don't know how that'll shake out.
This is literally quality versus quantity argument.
But it's not just the quantity, because it's the like the overall experience, or like the instance experience, you know? Like, do you want the best movie you've ever seen, or a TV show you kind of like?
Yeah.
But it's not like shovelware versus good games or whatnot, because there's still some great stuff in games. It's interesting because it doesn't feel like they could possibly get enough subscribers to pay for all of the money that they would need to for all these games to continue to be made. It doesn't seem sustainable at $10 or $15 a month to have access, and that it can pay for the development of all these huge games that are out right now. So
again, Netflix does it somehow. So
well,
it's like,
I know, but they're not always making those shows necessarily. Yeah. Oh, I guess neither is Game Pass, but is it the actual product, you know, like the Apple approach, like, no, you will just like our product because that's what it is, versus the consumer base and say, you're just going to have a nice experience with us. We're going to take care of you. And if that is enough to win over... This is crazy, because I would always say philosophically, Microsoft's approach here is the way to go. And this is going to let me know if I am philosophically right or not, I guess. And so it'd be kind of fun to see.
I think it's because they did a 180 and not a 360 over at the beginning when the Xbox One first came out, because they were completely against consumers.
Right, exactly. Yes, they learned the hard way that... Oh, wow, we need to take care of customers because they do buy our stuff. Huh?
Yeah, don't close the doors on them. Open the doors, let them get it. And at the beginning, they closed it.
I mean, going from Don Matrix to being like, yeah, we have an offline Xbox. It's called a 360. To now where they're like, you got a browser, you got a phone, you got a TI-89 calculator. I don't care. $15 a month, we'll let you play on anything.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's so different. And that was like 5 years ago. Phil Spencer has got to be one of the most dynamic CEOs gaming has seen. You know, I mean, he's just, in such a short amount of time, really changed the narrative of a company. It's really impressive what he's done.
Yeah. And
because they turned me. No, go ahead.
Oh, no, go. You go for it.
Oh, I was going to say, they turned me off of the Xbox One because of that nonsense that they did at the beginning. And I was a 360 guy. And I wanted an Xbox One to have my 360 library. They turned me to the PS4.
You're not alone.
The PS4 lied to me.
Well, they had that. Their first one out of the gate was also a piece of junk too. It was huge. Yeah. It ran all the games. Every game ran worse on an Xbox One. None ran better. Maybe some ran the same. They needed the S to come out. The S is a great system. Tony, you're the one that hooked me up with. You found a good deal on the S for me on eBay with a coupon, because I said I wanted a Blu-ray. I wanted a 4K Blu-ray player, so I had the PS2, and it's been an amazing system. The Xbox One S is a great low-end system.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have. I'm with you, Kevin. I would out of the gate, man. I would not have suspected to have this great affinity for Microsoft by the end of the generation.
Yeah, because what do I always say? I wish I had Game Pass. I wish I had an Xbox for Game Pass.
Yeah, it's a crazy deal. When I finally am done with all these promos, I would absolutely pay $15 a month.
Yeah,
without hesitation, like the full price. For the fact that $15 a month gets you the PC and the console, and those don't have the same identical titles.
Yeah,
like that's crazy. So
well,
I almost bought Streets of Rage 4 for $25. If Streets of Rage 4 was not in Game Pass, I would have bought it.
Yeah, and that's what I think I mentioned this maybe when I was on the show like 4 years ago, probably was the last time. But I think one of the things that I do, and this benefits Microsoft from being tied so closely to the PC already. But one of the things I think is, we're already seeing it with the Xbox Series X. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I mean, that thing it looks like a gaming PC.
It does. It's a cool, it looks like it looks like a box iMac, or not the iMac. What was that? The Macintosh that looked like the trash can that came out in 2013. Mac Pro.
It was, Yeah. And so it's got that kind of a look, and I think that I hope that these two worlds coming together can also bring together like some more of this. So I buy more digital games now than I've ever bought in my life because I do game share with a friend, and I also have always felt that Steam, and now we're seeing it through places like GOG and stuff like that, but like Steam set this precedence on pricing in digital games that I feel like the consoles have never even been in the same ballpark.
No.
You know?
No,
And
they
I think,
couldn't.
like-
And they couldn't. To be fair, they would have to. The consoles were so heavily tied to the retail chains
Sure.
that, you know, for them to try to adopt an aggressive model would have been risky to say the
Yeah.
least.
Well, the prices do go down eventually to that Steam price. Like the deals I read today, like $4.99 for a bundle, right?
Yeah,
it
but
does get there, but
but Steam I feel like gets there faster.
They
And I
did.
Absolutely,
think that, and I think like I look forward to like those marked like the fall, spring, summer sales that Steam and GOG and some of those places have now. But I think that now we're seeing a lot more on the digital end of games. I hope that as we kind of like as part of this, it either happens through streaming services that you can't live without, i.e. Game Pass, or we just see those worlds continue to kind of marry where there's like the Microsoft, what they're doing with the PC and all that is just crazy. Like how you can, like my son logs into my Xbox account or whatever and will download like Sea of Thieves on his gaming PC,
Yeah.
and I just think it's cool to like those venues kind of mixing together. I hope that I just hope those worlds kind of continue to marry a little bit more.
I think they will, and I'm going to say something that's uneducated here, and I'm going from what I had heard from another podcast I was listening to today. So I'm going to do my best here, but they were talking. It was Video Game Outsiders, and they were talking something about Sony is going to have some sort of a PlayStation branded publishing where it's like. It looks like the speculation, the way that this publishing wing is going to be, might make it feel as though it will allow them to not just publish on PlayStation 5 exclusively, that maybe a publishing arm of Sony will be looking to be publishing directly to PC. Let me get just so I can mention it if anybody that's listening actually is curious. But Video Game Outsiders episode 658, their episode called Cyber Junk. But they were essentially saying that there's some news, so keep an eye out about Sony doing some sort of publishing rebranding. Or that there's a publishing division of Sony that may allow games to... It does look like going to PC in certain instances. I think I had talked last week about Gears Tactics coming to... it's a Gears of War, that's a console thing, right? It's a console branded thing. But it launched on PC inside of the Microsoft ecosystem. So that's an example of that shift that Tony's talking about, a console brand coming into PC. And I'm thinking, unless they didn't know what they were talking about on VGO, Sony also seems to be considering that as well. Because they're not going to want like Sony PlayStation if they're trying to publish it maybe even on Xbox. But if it's just not branded as Sony and it's branded as a PS game or something like that, the way you'd see EA on a box, like that could be super interesting as a way for Sony to have a shift philosophically in how they're distributing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Be cool.
I mean, that's kind of the same way we look at Crash Bandicoot and Spyro games, the trilogies that came out. They were Sony branded games back in the day, and now they're available on every console.
Sure, or Minecraft, right?
Yeah.
So, while it's not directly related, all I was doing is trying to talk to Tony's point that it's a lot of the gaming companies are starting to see some sort of ability to get on other platforms as a good opportunity. So cool. Well, yeah, I guess let's kind of move on and then we'll call it a show. Kevin, you played one of my favorite games. It's a weird ass game, and I fucking love it.
Yeah, I'm guessing you're talking about Jazz Punk.
I am.
What a weird ass game, and I love it.
I didn't know Zoe Quinn was involved. She drives
Zoe
me.
Quinn is one of the voices.
Oh, that's all? Okay.
Zoe Quinn and Jim Sterling, I found out. When you look at the credits, I saw their names. I'm like, what the hell? Zoe Quinn, I know that name. She's the whole
Gamergate girl, yeah. Right? She doesn't seem like a honest person, I'll say.
Yeah.
We'll see. Usually it takes 2 to tango when there's a nasty situation, and probably both parties are at fault kind of a scenario.
Yeah.
But either way. But then Jim Sterling also was in it. I didn't know that. I didn't know he was a voice actor.
He's a voice actor I saw there at the end there. I purchased this game last year and I played it last year, but then I stopped for whatever reason. Maybe I forgot. Maybe I got a new game. Yeah,
I don't know if you heard. Kevin, I don't know if you heard.
It's pretty short.
Yeah, the fuck's a little short.
Pretty short. Yeah. But I stopped early in the game. I guess I wasn't feeling it or whatever. But
Sure.
I've been trying to play short games until Final Fantasy VII came. So I was like, oh, Jazz Punk, let me pick this up. I know I started last year. Let me finish it. So I finished it. It is a 2-hour game.
Yeah.
Very short. Very stupid. Very funny. Because my wife looked up at me playing it, and at one point I'm painting toenails, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know."
I adored it. I loved it.
Everything was a pun. I said that this game was like a Naked Gun movie and a Ren and Stimpy game.
Yeah, that's a
Combined.
great. Yeah.
Because everything was a joke, like Naked Gun, and the visual effects and graphics were like straight out of Ren and Stimpy. When you see their hands, it's like drawn like Ren and Stimpy. The humor is Ren and Stimpy, but the corniness, the puns, when you're traveling the world and it has like Atari Land and stupid shit like that. And I'm finding Portugal and Guyana, where my wife's from, and I find Canada, like the way they call it, and I'm like, this is stupid. This is hilarious. I love this game. And yeah, it just, I don't know. It's stupid. It's funny. There's no point to anything. I was going around kissing people just because you can.
It's wildly abstract, and then there were times where I could get like slightly stuck, but the game teaches you it's like its own broken logic that you're able to figure out what you're supposed to do in a way that doesn't make any actual logical sense, but inside of what it's taught you, 5 minutes ago in the game.
Yeah.
Tells you where to look for bananas in a kitchen. It's just a stupid. I loved it. I thought it was amazing. I don't know why, like, even how to talk about it.
Yeah, you can. There's no. It's just a weird little game, and it's a weird little gem that I recommend everyone try out. It's just such a bizarre game. And
you ever heard of Jazz Punk, Tony? Jazz Punk?
No. Sounds like a game you would play for some reason. I don't know why.
It's an A+ to me. I loved Jazz Punk.
That's
like
cool.
this is one of those games I'll get back to in a year. I'll just play it again just because it's fun,
Yes.
and I'll show somebody.
And be like, oh, that was so fun. Oh, that's right. It's kind of like when you remember that you really liked an album and you hadn't heard it in a really long time, but then you actually listen to the album again, and you're like,
this is good.
oh yeah, Jazz Punk will have that kind of vibe.
There's one part in the game that actually made me laugh out loud, LOL, if you will, where you look through like a telescope, or what are those things, like binoculars that you look through, like at I don't know, like Niagara Falls. You go look through there and you can look at the falls.
Yeah.
I forget what they're called. Anyway, you look through it.
We'll call them sightseer binoculars, tourist binoculars.
There you go. You look through it, and then a knockoff of the James Bond song plays, and you see a guy like walk across the screen, turn around, shoot at you. And when you go away from those binoculars, he's actually standing in front of you on nothing, and he goes, ah, and just falls. So he wasn't in there. He was actually standing in front of you on air, mimicking that whole scene. It's stupid stuff like that, where I'm like, that's funny. I like that.
Yes. It's got real charm and heart to it.
Yeah.
What platform did you play on?
I played on PS4.
Okay. Sorry if you said that.
And the other game I played, luckily these games are all short. Again, I was trying to play games before the Final Fantasy VII came out, because that's all I'm going to play from now on. So the other game, I played it. Well, I'm still playing actually because it's on the Vita. Is Pong, the next generation. This is one of those games that I've always loved, but I've never heard anyone talk about.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. I'm doing a Google search.
Yes. So
Um,
in the 90s, like late 90s, there was like a. Remember how I told you I loved Pac-Man as a kid?
Yeah.
And I love Pac-Man World. I love Pac-Man Adventure. Even the stupid 3D one with his body. I love that on the PS1. And the PS1 went through a stage where they made these games from like Atari. They made newer versions of them, like Breakout and Asteroids and Pong and Frogger. There was a new Frogger game with mind you, updated graphics. PS1 I'm talking about, but compare that to like Commodore graphics. So
Oh yeah.
it was a graphical change. Like, and they added storyline and stuff. Like Breakout has a storyline, stupid, but it's fun. Asteroids, instead of like the outline vector graphics, you actually have like detailed asteroids, and it was great. So, but Pong was always my favorite. And I remember asking my brother's ex-wife at the time. I was crying at a Walmart in front of it because I wanted it, and she got it for me because she's my brother's ex-wife. So, and I
Must have
still
been
have
his
that
fault.
copy.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I still have that copy of Pong, but I bought I found it on the PSP store for PSP. So
Oh
you can-
yeah,
whatever.
makes sense.
It was $4.99 or $5.99. I was like, yeah, I didn't know there was a portable. Anyways, so Pong is Pong, except the amount of creativity and how challenging they made a simple concept of two paddles and a ball. So like in one stage, you're playing on an icy, like every stage has 3 rounds, and each round is more difficult. So for example, you're playing in like an ice instead of like a black background, it's ice. And you're playing Pong like normal, but little things will spin on the screen. So if you hit the ball with your ball, maybe a seal will come up and grab the floor, and the middle will come up. So the guy's bouncing the ball against the middle, so as a wall.
Yeah.
Or maybe penguins will come on the screen, and you're going to bounce the ball off the penguin. And when you do that, the penguins lay eggs, which are extra balls. Like think of like a pinball machine where you have multiple balls going on. There's a chicken thing where you have to put the eggs, which is the balls from Pong, in each basket color coded. So you got to bounce and juggle multiple balls to land in the baskets. And if you get in the wrong basket, you lose the ball. It's just so creative for something so stupid like Pong. And
cool.
it's very challenging. And the multiplayer is absolutely fun. I remember playing this. This is one of those rare games I played with the multi-tab on the PS1 back in the day, especially that chicken level I was just telling you about. It's so much fun to play with multiple people. Highly recommended. The last level is original Pong, which is fun.
Oh hell yeah. I got to play one of those. Have you seen it's like a Pong, it's like a physical table. It's a Pong table, and it's not digital, it's analog, and there's like a little block that floats on a table.
No,
I
that
had to
sounds like
play
air
one of
hockey.
those. It's amazing. I'll have to try to look at a YouTube video to show you. So,
And I've come to realize that Pong is not ping pong. It is air hockey.
yes.
Because you're not
essentially.
bouncing the ball in the middle. You're just
Yes,
trying to
but
score
air
each
hockey
other.
didn't exist when.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
And the last game I played, which can go fuck itself, is Toy Story for Genesis. Because I watched Toy Story again with Hannah. Now that she's older, I'm like, you'd probably appreciate it more. And after that, I was like, oh, I'm itching to play Toy Story again on Genesis. That is a hard. It's not a hard game. You have one continue. No, you have no continues.
oh,
I don't know how to get another continue. So I made it pretty far. I made it to the level where you hide as the cup and the burger container. So you
Oh, yeah, that
duck
level.
underneath the pie. But I kept getting killed by the stupid coins. And when you die, because I've been playing with save states, so I figure, fuck you, game. You're going to cheat. I'm going to cheat. When you die, you start at the beginning again. I haven't got to continue up to that point. So I'm like, I don't want to play the game from the beginning again. I have no idea how to get it continue. No idea.
yeah. Well, you do. You got your save states.
But no, because in that level, if I get hit once, I die and the game's over
Yeah, but
with that save state. So I got to beat the whole level without getting hit.
I
once.
thought you were playing like straight emulator, where like in the emulator they just had a save state.
Well, I'm playing on a Genesis Mini, which is emulated.
Oh, okay. Well, you can like save scum it, get a little bit further, save it, get a little bit further, save it.
I can't do that. That's too much
Okay.
cheating. Yeah. But yeah, so fuck that game. I'll get back to it. I know I beat it as a kid because I remember one of the levels is you playing as first person view like Doom, where you
Oh.
grab the aliens and go, ugh, and you put them in the crane machine, put them back in there.
That's cool.
It's a creative game. But yeah, those are the 3 games I've been playing in before FF7
There
remake.
was a FPS called Zero Tolerance that my brother liked on Genesis. That was what he liked. Cool. Well, I'm almost to the credits of Streets of Rage 4. One boss, I got too frustrated and I did cheat and use the bonuses and took the XP hit. And I did play one level where I invited some random person online to play with me.
Oh, cool.
That was fun. I can't wait to play through this game with someone sitting on a couch and drinking beers with me. That's going to be amazing.
It's probably the only way I would ever play that game.
It's...
feels like it has to be played that way.
It's definitely the way it needs to be played, but I played plenty of Sega Genesis types of games growing up that played by myself, so it's fine. I've had some weird crashes on the PC, though, so I've had to replay some levels, because it would crash right after beating the boss, which is right before the save.
Oh, that sucks.
And it would be one of those where, like, I would look away and I'd look back and I'm like, wait, the game's not on. Fuck, do I gotta play that level again? But it's not too hard. It's just like, it is what it is. Streets of Rage 4 is cool. If I would have paid $25 for it, I would have had buyer's remorse. In Game Pass, I give it an A. Like, it's amazing what a difference, like, the experience is.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. Halo 2 came out today on PC, so that means Halo 3 is coming out very soon. Tony, I don't know if I've been playing through all the Halo campaigns.
Sweet.
I played through 5 when that came out, when I first started Game Pass. 5 I love, it turns out. Reach, I adore Reach. That
favorite story is Reach.
That blew our mind when we both played that back in the day when that was new. That was one of my favorite things that we talked about on the show. Was like, spoilers. We gotta talk about how this ended. I couldn't believe that they had me on an ending of a Halo game. But I never played 4. Remember how excited we were to get 4, and we did some videos and stuff, which were fun. But I never finished it. So played all the way through 1. I finished 2. I'm pretty far into 3 now. I'm about a quarter into 3. But I want to play it on PC the rest of the way.
Sure. I've never played through the campaign of 3 and 4.
Me either.
I played ODST.
I haven't played that either.
And 1, I'm pretty sure 2 back in college, and then 5. I finished 5 when it came out, but for some reason I've never played 3 and 4.
I don't know what it is like.
Tons of multiplayer.
Halo is never. I'm sorry.
Tons of multiplayer in those 2, but never the story.
There's something about Halo that makes me understand why people like grinding in games. Because there is not much different. Like, it's the same thing over and over and over again. And I really like it. There's something about the way the guns feel. There's something about the types of enemies. There's something about getting in the ghosts. And I don't know.
Yeah, it's fun.
It just is what it is. So Halo 3 is coming out soon on the Anniversary Collection for PC. I'm very excited about that. I installed Red Dead Redemption 2. Not going to play it, but I installed it.
Yeah.
It happened.
I've installed it before, too.
Another one of my, speaking of early Classic Leap memories, one of my favorite memories is Kevin at Tony's old house. They had a projector that he put up on one of his walls, and he had his 360 hooked up, and he was riding around in Red Dead on a horse on his living room wall, and I was like,
"Oh, that's awesome.
We are in the future." I wanted to do a podcast about Mega Man and Contra, and he's playing horses on the walls. Like, what is this sorcery?
I know. I was trying to hook up the Virtual Boy.
Seriously, that would have made more sense to me. But amazing, how cool was that in your house, though?
I played Halo Reach on that. It was funny because my wife was like, we were in that, like, I was working part-time at a church, part-time at Scott's company at the time. And so, like, we lived in the house that, like, was owned by the church, and it had a giant dark room in the middle. It was massive for some reason. And
it was like a basement, giant basement, but in the middle of a house that doesn't have a basement.
Yeah,
so
and Amy was going.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh no, it was like my wife Amy was going like, I wish the TV wasn't the central part of the room. you know, like she was on this kick of like, I wish, like when it feels like we have people over, we're all staring at the TV. Like, and I was like, I've got a way for us to get rid of a TV.
Make it bigger.
Yeah. I'll hide the screen. Then the TV's not in the middle.
No, just stare on the wall.
And then you had a white curtain that it would project onto. That could be
I would pull the screen down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I want a way to make it bigger, not get rid of it. So 1080p projector. It was awesome.
It was so cool. I couldn't believe it. It was just, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
The only other time I'd had like oh my God, over at a friend's house was I had a wealthy friend who had one of those giant old flat screen, the old giant TVs.
Yeah, with the projector in the back, right?
And he had it, the N64 hooked up to it when it first came out, and sliding that penguin thing with a screen that big was just like, this is the most crazy thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, you had to sit straight on.
You did, yeah. The viewing angle's not great.
Right angle. You couldn't see anything.
But for a video game, it was perfect.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I did this week was not related to video games, but it was related to Kevin. And I binged season 4 of the 90-Day Fiancé before the 90 days. Before the 90 days. So I am like on the edge of my seat for next week's episode. It was just because I do like trashy reality TV, and I was just in the mood for binging trashy reality TV. And
you're watching the one we're watching. I'm watching, right?
I'm sorry?
You're watching the one
right now, yes. So, like, I'm like, Kevin likes 90 Day Fiancé, and I've known of 90 Day Fiancé because I've seen YouTube commentary channels make fun of it before.
Yeah.
But I haven't, like, given it a go. And I saw the Ed and Rose thing, and I'm like, I gotta see what this fucking dude's backstory is.
Yeah.
And
that dude added me on Twitter before he was on the show. Big Ed.
Big Ed added you on Twitter.
So he added me on Twitter a few months ago, and when I was watching the show, I'd go on Twitter to see what everyone's talking about 90 Day Fiancé, and I saw that he wrote, "What did you think of me on the appearance?" And I went, "Hold on, you're the same Big Ed I've been talking to for months."
Did you tell him you're a piece of shit and you deserve?
Not at the beginning. At the beginning, he was nice. I liked him.
He was in the beginning. Yeah, but now you look and it was a fake.
Yeah.
But I'm in. Kevin, I'm fucking in.
I told you.
No,
this guy I was talking to.
No, I knew you were right, but I fucking love it.
Did I just accidentally get spliced into TMZ? I mean, what in the world are we talking?
100%.
And I'm going to
recommend the new Bridezilla.
I'm going to recommend 2 podcasts: 90 Day Cray Cray and 90 Day Gays. Hilarious stuff.
Okay.
And I listen to those. My wife listens to those podcasts, and she finally now listens to podcasts, and she's like, "You should hear this podcast." I'm like, "I know,
but podcast. Yeah, it's fucking amazing. Welcome to my world."
Well,
but
I'm happy you're in
it. God, it's excellent. It's wonderful trash reality TV.
Yeah, it is. And I hate TV. I don't watch TV at all. This is the only thing me and my wife, like, we're in the same room and like actually eating chips and enjoying each other's company.
Dude, I'm very eager to watch the season finale next week.
Yeah. And then they have a tell-all where they do like all the people in the room like live.
And I also know I heard some stuff about Jeffrey, so he's not gonna be at the tell-all.
Yeah, he's an asshole.
He's a giant piece of shit. Anyway,
it's Mario, Sonic, Doom Guy, and Duke Nukem. So
we are. But that's it, Kevin. I was thinking about you, homie.
Any comments from last week too?
Yeah, we had some good stuff from Demez, and then we also we did get an email from Ben. I'm gonna draw attention. Maybe we can do it for a couple of weeks, but. As he mentioned, his girlfriend Wendy does live performances every Wednesday, and she's doing live streams of them. So, and Wendy, if you've been listening to the last several shows, she's the one that also is buddies with the guy that did the Carmen Sandiego theme song. So, we'll post some links. She does perform right before our show records, so maybe that'd be a cool warm up.
Oh, cool.
But Anyways, regardless, even if she is competing with our show, go check her stuff out. You don't have to listen to us. We are a broadcast after the fact. So shout out to Ben for sending that over. We'll get Wendy's stuff posted and see if we can get a couple of other people to go check out our live stream. And
Yeah,
we're musicians, you know. Kevin and I are light musicians. We love music, so love to share that and support people that are out there creating entertainment for people. And then, yeah, of course, we got some feedback from Demez. My browser is slow right now, so give me just a second while it's...
I threw my phone away so I don't get distracted, so I can't get to it.
No, you're good. We're almost there, so it's almost... I really wonder why... I really couldn't have built the second streaming PC at a better time. So next week, I'll be using the second PC. I can't wait. Okay, studio loaded. Now I click on comments. It's almost there. This is the slowest it's ever been. There was a big new update, so I'm gonna blame Windows on this one.
Fucking Windows. And your stupid technology making things slower when
you know what faster. Though? I really love Windows 10.
Oh, I hate it. Really? I downloaded a shell to make the start menu the way it used to look like a Windows 98. Really? I can't stand that menu.
Now, if they took actually, was this the update that's going to take the control panel away? No, control panel's still there. Okay. All right. Anyways, Dumbass says Streets of Rage 4 has an awesome special combat system you may have missed that I've never seen before open up with it. So I have seen this, but it's high risk, high reward. So Dumbass says, you open up with a special attack, which you press the Y button on Xbox, and then it makes you lose some health. But you don't lose the health permanently. If you attack enemies, you get your health back. So it's like a super punch.
Yeah.
Then you can earn the health back. But you can't get hit. Like, so you can go unload the super, and it'll turn a chunk of your health to green. If you get hit, you lose all the green in your health. Yeah, but it'll fill back up if you...
Because they always had that in the beat-em-ups back in the day. You press like two buttons at the same time. Michelangelo does a little spin, but a little bit of his health goes away. Correct. I hated that. Yeah, but they wouldn't come back. Your health was gone.
Exactly. So this is a nice twist on that, which I really like a lot. Dumbass, though, I found myself getting frustrated. I would... knock a couple of people out, and then I would get a cheap shot and lose too much health. So I actually stay away from that mechanic. I probably need to... No, I don't. I'm at the last stage. I played through the game fine. But it's probably worth investigating. At higher levels, you probably need that mechanic. Also, he goes on, he says, this is an awesome strategy. Same thing. This is an awesome strategy using as the powerful attack against the women to try to not get hit for a while when you get your health back, by attacking even Mark II multiplayer warrior allied. The ladies that jump in this game are bullshit, so it's good to knock them out. They can jump down at an angle, so you think that you're clear because all the other enemies are in like normal beat 'em up grids.
See, I'm getting the ladies mixed up with any other fighting game. Is it the one with the hair? That's Double Dragon.
That is, and I don't know even if these kick ladies are in the same. If they're new or not. But you know when you're like in Double Dragon or whatever, and you beat them up, you have the plane that you can walk in.
Yeah,
and like everybody is kind of locked into like a straight back and forward grid as far as attacks are concerned.
Yeah,
they jump down at you, so it looks like you're safe and you're not. Sucks. Also, he says just to be clear. Just to be clear, here in Canada, we do not have such a thing as gay rock. That sounds like something Kevin just made up with his friends.
Yeah, it was. It absolutely was.
I want to talk about something later, like Elton John music. I mean, that's gay rock.
Yeah. And Prince. Well, no, Prince wasn't gay.
He wasn't gay, but
surprisingly.
Yeah, very flamboyant. Had effeminate qualities. Yeah, more Elton John's more of a gay rock musician. But Tony, last week house techno. We learned that Kevin and his buddy called house techno.
I freaking laughed out loud at that part of the show.
It's so funny. Yeah, so I guess it was just
That's
you
why
guys.
I based the thumbbell from last week's show on
Yeah.
the multiple poses from Streets of Rage.
Yes, which I thought was nice that you had the guts to at least have a subtle little. It was well done. It was a nice little Easter egg in there. So yeah, dumbass, thanks a lot, man. Good stuff as always. So I think that's gonna be the show for the week. So Tony, thanks for joining, man. Congratulations to us. We've stayed friends for over 10 years now.
It's true. It's true.
So
we've achieved a long distance relationship, which a lot of people don't.
You guys want to talk about social distancing? This is it right here.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
This is the standard.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It was funny. My wife was Scott with Marco pulled me earlier today asking, and my wife Amy, who Scott also knows well, was asking, or she was standing close by and heard Scott's voice, and he's like, "Hey, if you want to come on the show," and she's like, "Yeah, do it. You should do it." And I think it was cool because she remembers like that was lots of different things pulling our directions from little kids to work and different things back then, and it was just a really life-giving moment to my week every week, and so I think it was cool to jump back on. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this is fun. This is a chance for us to bullshit, and a handful of people on the internet download it, and I'm not trying to be coy, like it really is only a handful, and that's amazing, and it's still very flattering. We've still get downloads every week, so thank you to anybody that's listened, especially those of you, the handful of you that have listened this whole time. It's amazing. I guess just, I put it out on Twitter today, but I do want to kind of reiterate, and Kevin, you had kind of brought it up. I mean, really, the three people that got me inspired to actually do it were the advice from Critical Failure, seeing the people on RetroWare TV, and Hugh from the Retro League, and the Retro League in general. But Hugh's the only one still around from the Retro League, so he's the one that gets the thank you. But I don't know, and thanks a lot to Dustin for spending all this time with me as well. So I'll get texts here and there from him. He's an awesome dude. We've met a lot of cool people on this, so it's fun. We got to record to the day of the 10-year anniversary of when we published the first episode. So yesterday was 10 years ago. We recorded the first one. We're actually recording on the anniversary. So Kevin, thanks for hanging out for the whole time. I'm glad if anybody was going to be here for it, I'm glad you could be.
Gosh.
So, all right. But that's going to be the show. Hopefully we can do another 10 more years, and we'll be grayer and bearder and some fatter, some thinner. We'll look different. But yeah, wouldn't that be something else if we make it to 20 or 25 years, just because why not, So, All right, well, that's going to be it for the show this week. If you I want to thank Ben Landis for letting us use the song Through the Forest, as well as Cubby for letting us use the song Title Force as intro and outro music. All of our episodes are available at our website, classicl33ter.com. That's Classicl33ter. Any podcast catcher should be able to get us, but if you want to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, stuff like that, that would be great. Or Podcast Addict. If you're an Android user and you use Podcast Addict, please leave us a review. Otherwise, our social media, our name is Classicl33ter everywhere. That's Classicl33ter. Once again, at Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our Amazon affiliate links are available in the description anywhere that you find the show. So if you do go to the links if you go to Amazon from our links and buy something, we'll get a small commission to support the show. We did buy the domain today for another 2 years, so we're good on that front as well.
Hooray!
Alrighty, so yeah, Tony, thanks again. Kevin,
Thank you, Tony.
See you next week, buddy. And I want to thank everybody very much for listening to episode 319 of the Classicl33ter podcast, and we'll see you next week for episode 320.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Boom. All right. And we'll shut the stream down. See